Welcome back to Redbanditracing. In this video, we have our first repair video on the Kraton 6S EXB. We are going to do a diff service. In this video, I'll be showing you guys how to take out the diffs and service them. And we also have a broken toe link, so I'm also going to do a really quick repair on that, but I'm not going to really show it all. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to service the front. Then I'll move over to the center diff. And at the end, I'll repair the toe link. It is broken and did pop out, but I popped it back in just for this repair video. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out this front bumper. How we're going to do that is we're going to flip the car over. It's not balanced very good. I'm just going to take out the stand. First thing to do is you're going to have to take out these 3 front screws off this skid plate. It is going to be a 2.5mm hex. And we're going to switch over to a 2.0mm hex. Oops. 2mm hex, and we're going to take out the back screws off the front skid plate. We're going to flip that over. Then you're going to take out the 2 top screws in the front bumper right outside of this front diff case. 2.0mm hex. Check it out. It should slide out. It's got a little bit stuck. Now, since that is out, you have full access to the diff case. All you have to do is take out these 2 front screws, and you'll be able to remove this, which will allow the diff case to be able to slide out. This will be a 2.5mm hex. Alright, looks like there are 2 more screws to take out. It is going to be the 2.5mm hex. I would be a little bit careful pulling these out because these can take out the arms. There is no worry if they do come out with that crossbar, but you don't have to take out those arm pins, so I would just try to keep them in. Alright, so now we have full access to the diff case with the diff cover. First thing we're going to do is going to take off this top cover so we can get the sway bar out of the way. That is also a 2.5mm hex. So now I got that little front piece out of the way. It is the part that says EXB. We are now going to take off one of the sides. You want to take off one of the sway bar. It does connect to the rear of the arm next to the toe link that connects to the servo. You take out one part and you can swing it to the other side. It is a 2.0mm hex. Pop it out. I'm going to swing it to the other side. So now that is out of the way, now we can take out the actual diff. We are back to the 2.5mm hex. The 4 screws. I'm going to use a driver. I'm going to loosen them before I use my electric driver on them. Looks like these are coated in a Loctite. You can see the shavings where the screw used to be. There we go. When putting all this back together, I wouldn't worry too much about replacing the Loctite. I don't think these are ever going to come loose. That's out. We can slide off the cover. Let's get this out, clean it up, and open it up. So now I got that case out. We are going to have to remove the bottom screws out from the shocks. You will not have to do that on the rear, but on the front, you will not have enough room to remove it just because where the axles and shock placement is. How you're going to do that is there is a screw right to the end of the shock. If you remove that, you can take out the pin. That is out. Slide the pin right out. I actually really do like this design. I think Arrma did pretty good. Alright, so how I'm going to get this out is I got one of the axles out from this side by pushing it one side of the diff out so I could slide out the axle, and now I can try to pop this out. It's not easy. It's actually in really well. There we go. Now I have the diff out. We can push the car aside and we're going to start taking this apart. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to wipe off all the fluid and debris that is on the diff. It is relatively clean. We've only ran it a few times. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this shim. And gently lift this up. There we go. As expected, there is not that much fluid in the diff. We're going to take out the spider gears and let's clean out the diff. Try to get this off in one piece. I think we did it. There we go. I'm going to clean those off, clean inside the diff, and then we're going to get our new fluid in. Alright, so I got that all cleaned up. And for the front, we're going to be using the TLR 80,000 weight. And I do want to point out, TLR says 80,000 CS, but the bottle tube says 80,000 weight. It is CS. I believe that the tubes are wrong. That's what I'm hoping, because it does take 80,000 CST, and the center does take 100,000 CST, which I have here. All right, we're gonna fill this up. Well, we're gonna put our spider gears in first, then fill it up. It should sink right in once we line up the gears. Push the gears all the way to the ends. Make sure it is all the way down. I think it is. Now let's get fluid in. Spin these gears a little bit. Definitely can fit some more fluid in there. The fill level should always be the crossbars. Looks like we are still a bit under that. I think this will be the last bit I put in there. Alright, we're going to get this lined up with the screw holes. Check that, you want to hold it together. And we are going to start putting this back together. You're going to want to start the first screw. I got that started. We're throwing the other three. We do have a bit of fluid leaking out from the top, but that shouldn't be that much of a problem. It's only a little bit. And you do want to tighten these in a star pattern. And you want to tighten them kind of loosely. And you want to tighten as you go along. So right now I'm maybe going a third of the way down, maybe a little bit less. Alright, now we're really going to tighten these down. Alright, we're going to do a quick wipe down. We are going to get some marine grease on the side and throw it back in. You just want a little bit. You don't want too much. And what I like to do when I'm doing putting diffs back in, I like to put in one axle just so it's easier putting the other. I might actually put in both and see how well that works out. Alright, got them both kind of in. Alright, so now I got all that in. Time to put in the diff, and I just do want to point out this is not an easy process. It will take time. So once you get everything in, this is going to be a long process. I have both axles currently connected to the diff to try to make that easier. But you really have to line up that shim. It's really hard to show on camera, but you have to get the shim into that little slot in the side of the diff. So you just really have to work it. It's not going to be easy at all, but I'm just going to try to do it right here. I'm using a pick to try to line it up. Once I think I've lined it up, I'll begin to push in. I think I have it. Like I said, this is not an easy process. This might take a little bit. Sorry if that was off camera, but I did get it in. It is really hard. You just have to try to line it up. Alright, so to get these axles in, we are going to unscrew the top pivot ball, and that should give us the rotation we need, or the flexibility we need to get these axles in. Alright, so we got that out. I think if we drop the arm downwards and then push it back up, it will be in. Alright, I think we have it in. I'm gonna start tightening. Yep, we got it. All you have to do is take off this top pivot ball, lower the arm down all the way it can, push in the axle and lift it back up, and it should go into place as you're tightening. And just do the same thing on the other side, and I'll show you how to put back together the front, and we'll move on to the center. Alright, so just got the other axle in, and everything is put back together as you can see. Next, we are going to throw on this diff case, and then we are going to get the sway bar and the shocks back together. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go in reverse order. So the last thing we did take off was the main case, so that is going to be the first thing we put on, back together. Just want to click this in. Once that is in, you're going to take your 4 screws. Remember, like I said, you don't have to Loctite. You can if you want to, but I really think you're just not going to need Loctite. So let's get these retightened, and we'll move on from there. Arrma keeps these things very locked down. Alright, so it looks like I have this all tightened up. And during the repair, I ended up just removing the entire sway bar, so it was getting in the way a little bit. So I'm going to put this back in. That one's popped in. These are really easy to pop back in, and I haven't popped one out while running, so pretty good design in my opinion. Both are popped in. Move the shocks out of the way so you can see. is lined up in the middle. Take your cover for that. EXB will be upright, just like the other case. And let's get this in. I'm gonna use it by hand now, just to finish up. We're gonna take it off the stand, because now we have to put on front bumper / skid plate. And obviously before that, we gotta throw on the crossbar. The flat ridge at the bottom will go on the bottom of the car. There we go. I just had it on backwards. There we go. We're gonna get that nice and clicked in. We're gonna take out these two big flatheads that go into the very front of the chassis. That is going to be a 2.5mm X. Now let's get your front bumper / skid plate. I think it's all listed as one part, so I don't know what the proper name for it is in the Arrma universe. Now let's get your 2.0 flatheads, round heads I mean. Your 3 flatheads are going to be obviously the 3 for the very front. These are your 2.5mm hex. Then I'm going to do this by hand. This is a skid plate, and these screws don't really pull out that often. On Traxxas, the Traxxas Max and Rustler seem to pull out a little bit, but I'm not sure about Kraton. I haven't had any screws pull out at all in the car yet. But like I said, it's only been a few runs, so it's a bit early to judge. Let's get these last 2 screws. These are also flatheads. So I have everything put back together. Now let's work on to the center. Alright, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw back in the suspension. And after looking at these pins, these don't seem like they are directional at all. You can just throw these in. And I kind of like how the shocks fall into place. Traxxas doesn't have that, where if you just let everything hang loose. Arrma seems to have it all where it should be. That just makes everything, every time you have to pop in the end of a shock rod, it just goes in way easier. That's really nice. So the front is completely done. And before I go to the diff, I want to just talk about the rear real quick. The rear is the exact same as the front. All you have to do, take off this the pin bar, the crossbar that holds the arm pins together. Take off the case like just like the front. Take off the sway bar, take off the diff case, and you're good to go. That is the only thing that is different. No front bumper. And the shocks can stay in. They are not in the way on the rear. You guys do notice I'm missing an axle. That's because the toe link came off, like I said, and the axle flew out. The axle is around here somewhere. Here it is. Here's the axle. So here we go to the center. From what I said, the center is actually not that bad. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take out the pin. There is a pin on the side. I'm taking the one out on the side of the batteries, the battery tray. So you're just going to use some pliers because it's not easy to grab with your hands. Take out that pin, and the pin from the little roll cage, that's what I like to call it, should slide pretty easy. If it doesn't, you're just going to have to work it with some pliers. What you can do is put some WD-40 on the pin, and it should slide in and out way easier for the next time you want to service the center diff. Next, you want to remove these center chassis braces. The screws are on the side of the battery tray, so this should be pretty quick. You're going to push these aside to both their shock towers. Here, let me take off the posts. I think it'll be just a lot easier to see what I'm doing, because I just want to get a good feel. This is my first time doing it, so I'm also learning how to do it with you guys. I have the general idea, but I don't know everything. If you have a tool that can push out the pin, I would definitely say use it. Much stronger pliers out. Make sure you're not pinching anything on the ESC. There we go. Should be just about out. Maybe one more tug. There we go. So that is now fully out. We're going to WD-40 these pins, just so it's easier on us the next time. So now we're looking at it. It looks like we're going to have to take these 4 top screws out. There we go. See if this comes right up. Yeah. Clicks right out. And there we go. We have the center diff. Let's see if we can just lift up these center drive shafts to get this thing out. Looks like it's going up. Well, that kind of clicked out in Arrma fashion. Definitely dusty. let's get this cleaned up and let's get this thing taken out. So we are just going to take off this case and get right into the service. Alright, gently take this out. This one's actually not that low. Well, after moving around a little bit, it looks like there was no fluid in here. Let's get these gears out, clean it up, and get some new fluid. Alright, so now we got all of that cleaned up a bit. We do have our 100,000 CS. I know it says weight, but I'm hoping it's just an error because that's what the bag says. The bag says CS, which is correct. And let's get some fluid in there. Oh, I'll put in the gears first. That would be helpful. So now we have all that in. We're going to fill in our fluid. This is 80,000 weight or 100,000 CS. Try to get into every little corner. I think we're just going to put in a little bit more because I think we're right around where I want to be. Yeah, I think that'll be it. Make sure everything's clean, nothing's on it, and I can drop this in. It's going pretty nice into place. And I do want to point out there is no shim for the center, so you don't have to worry about lining that much. Worry about lining up. We're gonna go back down and hand tighten all these. Make sure they're all tightened up because you do not want a diff loose. All right, that looks good. So let's get this all wiped down and throw it right into the truck. I think I'm ready to start what I am guessing is going to be a terrible process of trying to line up these center drive shafts. Obviously, the side with the gear is going to go to the pinion because, well, I think you guys know. Alright, so we are going to drop this in. I think I'm going to try my method of putting the drive shafts in first. See if it's possible. Actually, I think it might be possible. I think we can click it all in at the same time. You just have to believe. Please do it. I don't have an axle to spin right there. Yep, everything is in. Alright, so that center is now in. We are going to get all the braces clicked back in together, throw on the top, and wrap this thing up. Just had to recount my screws a little bit just so I can understand where everything goes. The direction of the screws makes it very difficult. Please drop in. There we go. I'm gonna line this up over the hole, and we are going to tighten it from the bottom. Luckily, the red metal shines pretty nice through the hole at the bottom of the chassis, so it's pretty visible. All right, next up, we are going to throw on this little cover. Had to have gone with this little peg, this little ridge going outwards, because obviously can't be in the way of the batteries. Nothing's crushed, so we're good. Alright, so let's get these centers in. Once again, Arrma, point for you. I mean, drops right in. That's perfect. That's what I call flawless. Then lift up just a little bit. Screw pops right. Yep. Definitely easier than what Traxxas does. But also, to be fair, Traxxas diffs don't flean out when you try to do that. So, here we go. Now let's get this top in. Alright, so I just put WD-40 on the pins. So they should slide in really easy. And there is, obviously, as you saw when you were taking it apart, there is a clip. And that clip has a hole at the end of the pin. Don't worry too much about lining it up because you can't adjust that later by twisting. So now you got these pins all pressed. The one by the ESC I actually happened to get perfect. Put the clip in. You might need to kind of force them in. They do kind of self-line up if you just put pressure on it. See? Finally got that other one lined up. That one took... Ooh, that one's not going in. I know it's in. I know it's lined up. Alright, there we go. Don't know why those need some force. And if you guys saying it's harsh and I'm bending it, these pins aren't bent. Everything seems fine. Just need a little bit more force. I think that is it. I think we have everything put together very well. All right. So yeah, everything's nice and tight. The front is good. I would say the only critique I have is these aluminum diffs hold on to that diff really tight when you're trying to pull it out, which I guess if you're bashing, you would rather have that. Quick little shout out, Kawashi. This is really useful. Charge your phone on here too. Nice little light. Anyways, yeah, like I said, the front diff is exactly the same. All you have to do is follow the exact same steps minus the front bumper. Everything besides the front bumper and those shocks are the exact same. I'm going to do it off camera. This toe link, all you have to do is pop off this cap, put on the new cap, and you're good to go. So if you guys like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. If you guys want to join our Patreon to help support the channel, please do if you guys want to. If you guys like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. See you guys next video.